Oh.
Process or content explanation? Content. Okay. So this is mapping the too big to fail scenario of the banking crisis and the homeowner crisis. It's not just one crisis. So it sort of started with homeowners having, in the US, having this American dream of like own a home and then I'm normal. And so what that drove was like the government had a lack of regulation, and you could have it was easy to get mortgages, and there were benefits to having a mortgage because you could deduct the interest. So a lot of people bought homes. That reinforced the societal norm. That led to a housing boom. Then homeowners were overextended. They started foreclosing on their loans. They started defaulting on mortgages, and then the mortgage companies started to fail. So there was failure in the system. Then, because they were overextended, because there was the housing boom, then companies started, like the investment bankers started profiting off of this by bundling mortgages, because I don't exactly understand why, but that's what happened. And then, so they were using mortgage-backed securities. So they were basically taking risk on the back of the mortgages. So there was this culture of increased risk-taking, which was part of the beginning of like everybody being blind. Out of that, investors had their expectations were heightened. There was economic expansion, and then there was like crazy exuberance. Like, we're making so much money. Meanwhile, at the same time this was going on, people were starting to already lose their homes because there was a disconnect in the way that had all happened. So there was increased risk-taking in the overall system, also with people buying homes they couldn't afford. Then, because of the risk-taking in the mortgages, particularly, the banks started to fail that had bundled these mortgage-backed securities. So they started, this was, I can't say the name of who it was, but this was another bank that started to fail. Then there was a climate of fear that started to kick in. So the climate of risk-taking and exuberance took a turn, and it started to become of fear. And this is the point where there had been high confidence, and then it shifted to diminishing confidence. And that's when the whole thing started to fall. So then all these other banks start like having issues and merging, and the Fed tries to intervene. Then the media starts to sort of look at it, and the risk behavior is investigated. The banks start to actually fail and go bankrupt. The stock market takes a dive. Then there are shockwaves through the whole market. Panic sets in. And actually, what happens is panic is that then that actually reduces the risk-taking finally. And then there's economic contraction, which balances out the economic expansion. Then, ultimately, what started to happen is there's revised regulation, which addresses the initial lack of regulation. And that is the loop.
Wow! Wee!